Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the morning marketplace. Surprisingly chipper this morning, even though I think I'm operating on like 5 hours of sleep, which is not ideal. But before we get started, let's get that first sip in. You know what I'm saying? And like always, coffee companies sponsor me, you cowards. All right. Yeah, we're getting a lot of love in the chat. Billy making a great point. Good morning to the trollers. Let's do some business right off the top. Right off the top, like the stream, follow us on Twitter, join the Discord. All the information is on the show notes. We've got an exciting show today because it's not just me talking to you for an hour. We're going to have TJ from Own the Moment pop in a little bit. I'm sure you've noticed using the site, or as I've pulled it up, there's been a lot of updates to the site, and it looks sharp and it's very useful. And so he's going to come on and like take us through some of the updates and just, talk shop. All right. I'm also seeing some. Oh, Sawyer's up in here. Dre's up in here. Wow. Daniel D just hasn't gone to sleep yet. Also, shout out Daniel D, because if you go to those Swish rankings, my man's in first. My man is in first. A lot of questions too. MLB DFS update. All right. This is part of the reason I didn't get any sleep last night. I hate sweating baseball more than anything else. It's like football, but boring. Do you know what I mean? Like the variance with touchdowns and home runs, but it's just not as exciting. It was a sweat. Who could have predicted? What's his name? Descalfani throwing a complete game shutout that really threw things out of whack. So that kind of took first place on the big boy, the $88, $50K for first, out of the question. But I was holding on to first place in the single entry for 15K, which was very exciting until Corey Seager went yard to make it 3-3. And then we talked about Blandino. I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about baseball long. Blandino got his first ever stolen base, which, we talked about that in the baseball stream last night. Anyways, all things, I came in fourth. in the single entry. It was still a profitable day, but when you see those big numbers with one game left and only like 5 innings of baseball left, you get excited. I thought it was going to be a big hit. I thought it was going to be hammered for the morning marketplace today, but whatever. All right. Also, yeah, if Cicero, if you guys didn't check out, if you're into MLB, into tops, all of that stuff, check out our show last night. We had some good stuff. Das One Tasty Burger. Thanks for joining us, man. Good to see you. All right, enough about me sweating baseball. Let's get into last night's action. We had some weird stuff. A lot of teams just decided not to play last night. They're like, hey, let's not do this. Let's not have a fun time. Let's not try. Let's get into it right now. I'm going to start just in the order that I have, which is going to seem less exciting. Also, because we have a guest today, we're going to kind of move right through this, okay? We're not going to, like Pistons-Hawks, right? Pistons beat the Hawks 100-86. Nothing to talk about. Absolutely nothing to talk about. Trae Young didn't play. Nobody did anything exciting. Beef Stew was up in there. And I mean, he wasn't, because Plumlee was balling. So, you know what? We're not even going to talk about it. Spurs Wizards, though, that one was wild. And let's get a little share screen in so that we're not full face for all of this. Hold on, come on, where you at? There we go. All right, we're gonna talk about DeRozan first. And Dominic, you're in the chat, right? DeRozan, man. DeRozan was a balling last night. 37-10 for DeRozan. This game, man, if you did play NBA DFS, also let me zoom in a little bit. If you played NBA DFS, I hope, no, that's too big. I hope you stacked this game. Overtime, everybody went bonkers. But I like pulling up DeRozan's moment ever since Dominic called it out that one time, that his first moment is I believe his first came back against the Raps and bang, throws it down out of 29-86. It's a good dunk. It's a good first moment. Like sometimes we see some weird shit for your first moments. That's a nice first moment. All right, let's keep going. What else we got? Oh, big body, Keldon Johnson. He had a nice game, 21 points. Let's look up Keldon. See how he's doing. I like it. 27 for his first moment. That rising star sitting around 141. Jeez Louise. I like, whatever. I'm not going to say I like Keldon because then everyone's going to be like, you like everybody. But anyways, Keldon Johnson. DeJounte Murray 25 and 17 last night. This is what I love about DeJounte Murray's ceiling on certain nights is absolutely nuts because he does it. I think he also picked up 3 steals last night too. Like he can, when he's on, if it's like a fast paced up and down game, DeJounte Murray is just so good. In that environment anyways, but his first moment's down to $78. That's out of 3,999. And then if you just want to mess around with a DeJounte 3 for $7, go for it. But that metallic gold from series 2 is 239. And his first moment, metallic gold out of 299, 620. All right, let's get to the other side of the game. Russ had 22, 14, and 13. So after taking a night off from triple doubles, he's back. But the person we're looking up today, Bradley Beal, what happened there? Bradley Beal, 45. Just dropped a smooth 45. We thought he had like an Achilles injury. It looked really scary. And then he's like, hey, here's the thing. I'm just going to come out tomorrow and I'm going to drop 45 in a, I guess they lost. I was going to say in an overtime win, but they lost. So Bradley Beal just straight balling 45. It's funny. We always say like big men are disrespected on this site. So is Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal might as well be 7 feet tall the way the Top Shot community treats him. 225 for his first moment. All-star, right? Finally made an all-star. I get it. Big stats on a bad team, but I don't know. On the precipice of leading the league in scoring, fighting with Curry. Yeah, Beal gets buckets. Dominic, look at all the Spurs love this morning. How do I like the stream more than once? We don't recommend bots. All right, Lakers Magic. I'm not going to look anything up. I'm just going to go over a couple of things. AD played 31 minutes last night, so that's a good sign. He can play over 30, 18 and 8. Like clearly still a little rusty, but at least he's back, right? Like at least he's back playing 30 minutes. Drummond had 13 and 11, whatever. Schroeder, though, one of the things that I thought was interesting, Schroeder's had 2 really good games since AD's come back. He had 21 and 10 last night. It just makes me wonder, like, oh, yeah, Schroeder's probably more useful when he's not the number 1 option. Like, it's probably easier for him to get buckets when the defense isn't keying in on him. They have to worry about AD and they got to worry about LeBron. So I just thought that's like a good sign. That's a good sign. But yeah, I'm not going to go too deep in it. Again, a lot of crap games last night. Sixers beat the hell out of the Thunder. But, you know, it is a Thunder game, so we do have to check in on how our man Lou Dort did right now. So let's see how Lou Dort did. Let's check in on that. I'm so excited about that. Shout out Kevin Davies, Rock and Roll, for making the Dort Report jam. Greg's going to do a much better job with the video, but we got that last night, and I needed to share the Dort Report. I needed to share it. So shout out Kevin Davies, Rock and Roll. Lou Dort didn't play last night. He didn't play last night. But we still needed to share it. Embiid 21 and 5. Whatever. They beat the hell out of him. A thing of note, the Thunder have lost like a million games in a row. I forget what the stat was. I think they started out the season like 20 and 27 and then have like ripped off 25 straight L's or something like that. So shout out. It's not 25 straight, but it's a lot of L's. But Ben Simmons is back. The Sixers are fully healthy again, so I think that's a good sign. Good sign for the Sixers heading into the playoffs. All right, Suns Knicks. The Knicks streak law is done. The Knicks streak is done. Randall had he's cut, right? He's human. He didn't have anything of note last night. The only Knick that kind of did some stuff. Derrick Rose had 22 off the bench. I saw a lot of Quickly on Twitter. People were getting very excited about Quickly, and then pulled up that box score. I think he had 11 points. So let's chill. Maybe that's just because I'm in New York, so I see more New York centered tweets. But on the Suns side of things, Suns, this is a pretty big win for them after dropping one to the Nets yesterday. DeAndre Ayton looked like he played 35 minutes the night before. He only had 9 and 13. But my man, Mikal Bridges, and I think somebody talked about him in the chat, he had 21 and 4. I'm so excited for Mikal Bridges in the playoffs. He just feels like a guy that can pop off. Like he's gonna win the Suns a game in a playoff series. There's gonna have that game where he gets like 25. Yeah, he's gonna get that game at 25. Hey Sawyer, listen, I am not gonna dig on Randall. I just said he's human. He can't go nuts every single time, right? He's just human. He's human. I like Julius Randle. Don't let it be seen that I don't like Julius Randle. All right, Mikal Bridges' first moment's $90. I like that it's sub 100. Again, as we've talked about, it does feel like Series 1 might dip a little bit more before it goes up, especially if more moments are coming out. So just keep an eye on it. I like Mikal Bridges. CP3, 26 and 5. But the biggest thing about CP3 was that just cold three that he dropped to ice the game. But let's look. I haven't looked up CP3 in a while. His first moment, 699. Again, something that sticks out here is that a lot of the Series 1's first moments can be up to like 2,500 out of 3,000, but CP3's 1434. So I'm, if you have 700 lying around, but I like that that's only out of 1434. Where's this cool? Is Cool Cats down to 24, Seeing Star down to 40. What Chris Paul's doing at this age is pretty wild. Anytime an NBA player is older than me, I'm like rooting for them pretty hard. Because it's just like, I still got a chance. My 5'7" ass still has a chance. I'm realizing now I didn't need to disclose my height. You all would never know that. This could be my one opportunity to be a tall boy. All right, let's keep going. Booker with 33 last night. Man, Booker's second half of the season. He had a couple of games in a row, but I guess he was defended by like Drew Holiday and Ben Simmons or something back to back, so his numbers look bad. But his second half of the season, he's been putting up buckets. So 33 last night. You see, where's his first moment at right now? Still under 800 at 780. But hey, we're not big spenders here, right? This is the minnow tank, not the whale vault. So out of 15K, you get a $29. I think out of all of those, this Seeing Stars for 10K, especially with all of this speculation about what's going to happen with the Seeing Stars, that I got to say, we're definitely pegging you for 6'4". Hell yeah. There's been a lot of speculation this week, everybody, and I like it. There's a lot of galaxy brain shit happening where everyone's like, actually, if you collect all the Seeing Stars and the Rising Stars, LG Doucette is going to pull a car up and it's yours. But there's just been crazy speculation about like, if you collect the whole Seeing Stars set, is that going to be used for a challenge down the road? Or if you collect all the Cool Cats master, if you do the Cool Cats, you're going to get a legendary pack. Like there's been wild speculation. So anyways, all that to say, for that one to be out of 10K, the Devin Booker out of 10K and be $48, I kind of like that. All right, that's enough about that game. I disregarded the chat for a little bit. Oh, here, Carol, married into Armenians. I see them all over at church. There we go. The Armenian love, baby. That knows. We talked about that yesterday. All right, Raptors, Cavs, a game I could care less about. But the one person I'll look up is Okoro, who had 20 and 6 last night. And the reason this sticks out is because Okoro did offensive stuff and not offensive. I don't know. Maybe the Raptors thought it was offensive. But for him to score 20 points, I didn't think he was ever going to score 20 points. So I don't know. Maybe he's got an offensive ceiling that I didn't think about. But his first moment is 80. First moment out of 4K is $80. And his second moment out of 35K, which, if you're like, hey, I want to get a couple badges for $9, you're getting in on a rookie. Isaac Okoro. I don't know. I don't hate it. Siakam had 25 and 5, but truly also Kevin Love was like, I'm not going to pull up the clip right now, but Kevin Love he's checked out, man. Someone save Kevin Love. All right, Bulls Heat last night, 110-102. The Bulls won a game. Vucci Main, 24 and 11. Daniel Tice had 23 and 12. And then Butler, 33 and 8. 33, 8, and 5. Shout out Boob, who's here. Vooch, let's just pull up Vooch real quick. He's the only one I'm going to look up. Tune into like Greg's Instagram to see him talk about Daniel Tice. Out of 10K, 26. His first moment's probably dipped to a disgusting number. Yeah, 154. I like, Bucci. I'm still kind of disappointed in what the Bulls have done since that trade, but whatever. Wolves, Aaron Borland, you in the chat? Wolves beat the Jazz 105-104 to sweep the season series against the Jazz. Conley, 26, 9, and 7. We'll look up Conley. Conley had a decent game. Towns had 21 and 11. And D'Angelo Russell, who we'll also look up, off the bench, 27 and 12 in under 30 minutes. But I just wanted to see that seeing stars moment to see if no, it's at 100 right now, so still hovering around 100. What's his first moment? First, Mike Conley's first. Nope, right there, 80. Wow, 89 for first moment, Mike Conley. I mean, I don't know what kind of ceiling Mike Conley has, but whatever, interesting. And then let's look up D'Angelo Russell, who, he had a great game. He's looking good off the bench. People are like, you forgot about D'Lo. I didn't forget about D'Lo. I'm fine with this. $90 at his first moment. Yeah, Aaron's in here. I don't know. I don't think I'm going after it. I don't think I'm going after D'Lo. No, thank you. All right, how many games do I got left? Jesus, 3 games. There's too many games last night. Real quick, Pelicans, Clippers. Pelicans won 120-103. Literally nothing to talk about. Zion had 23 and 5, and that honestly, I felt like I shouldn't share that because like that's not a good game for Zion anymore. I need 30. But we are going to talk about the Nuggets and Grizz. Nuggets won 120-96. Ja 27-6-6. Jokic an easy 24-15. But my main man, this is who we're looking up. MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., 31-7. Whew, we love to see it. That Rising Stars 214, that first moment out of 1,500, all them badges still sitting around 720. But hey, again, not the whale vault. $8 for a 35K moment. Whatever. 25 for the 15K moment, though. And it's a nice dunk. It is a nice dunk. And then 337 for his other first moment. So, oh, wait, no. Is this the putback? Oh, the alley-oop from the Jokic. Anyways, Michael Porter Jr. just like really unlocked. And then last game, Kings 113, Mavs 106. Dude, what are the Mavs doing? This is the second time we've had this conversation in a week. Like, you can't complain about the play-in game and then lose games to the Mavs. I mean, to the Kings. Like, what are you doing? Without De'Aaron Fox too. Like Luke Walton. Like, you can't lose games to Luke Walton. And I know Porzingis. I know Porzingis like didn't play, but come on, you can't lose that game. Luka 24-7 and 8. Holmes 24 and 6. Like, whatever. That game, you can't lose. You can't lose that game. All right, coffee break. All right, let's do some business while our guest is going to be popping in a second. And we're excited to have our guest here. Couple things. If you haven't liked the stream yet, just like the stream. Gets more eyeballs up in here. We're all about the eyeballs. Team eyeballs. In the show notes, you can follow us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Follow Top Shot Takes on Twitter. Jump in the Discord. The invite's in the show notes. All that good stuff. But more importantly, someone else to follow on Twitter. Let's welcome TJ from Own the Moment. TJ, what's going on, man?
Hey, good morning, Mike. Happy to be on the show. Been a big fan. I watch pretty much every day. Don't always get the chance to be live, but definitely enjoy your breakdowns. Enjoy the PJ Washington video. So it's always a good time, man. How's it going this morning?
Good, man. Good. I wouldn't commit to watching it live every morning either. I don't think that's. I think the people who are doing that, you deserve something because this is hard.
You've got some dedicated people for sure. I mean,
yeah,
we definitely get a good crowd every morning. So love that.
But I'm excited to have you on because, I mean, if you've been watching, as you've seen, I use Own the Moment quite a bit for a lot of your, I mean, even the account valuation, the challenge updates. You guys have like so many cool things over there. But like, talk to us a little bit for those who don't know you. Like, how long have you been? Sure. Like, when did you get in early with Top Shot?
Yeah, so I got in Top Shot right like late January, pretty much right. So I come from the daily fantasy sports world, pretty much right after the Jonathan Bales tweet heard around the world. My buddy Justin Hersing and I got super interested in Top Shot, got right in there, started buying moments right away, and was just like instantly hooked. And then it was probably within 2-3 days after that, we were like, we should start a podcast about this. Like, people are going to love it. There's definitely going to be more and more interest building. And so we just kind of started a podcast on a whim, and then it really took off. The community has been great, and just kind of have kept it going from there. Yeah, built the website, otmnft.com. And we're really just out here trying to help people along this Top Shot journey with us because we've found it to be so much fun and just so engaging overall.
Yeah, it has been cool seeing, like you mentioned, the community. Also, shout out Peter Overzet, just because we say community, I feel like that's a trademark now. And we talked about this a little bit offline, but really the positivity around this has been kind of wild. I mean, I know you come from the DFS world and me coming from the comedy world. I'm not used to people saying nice things or being positive and being fully engaging. But I remember you had like an interesting take on that, on why. And if you don't remember, that's okay. But on like why it's kind of been way more positive versus like some of the other things that we've seen.
Yeah, well, I think it's a unique situation where, like in DFS, one person can win a GPP, right? There's only one person that can win at the end of the day. Everyone else, therefore, loses, or at least doesn't quite win. And I feel like part of the Top Shot community is that we can all kind of win together, and it's not like a zero-sum game where it's us versus them, or if I'm succeeding, then it means everyone else is failing. So I think that creates a cool vibe to it. And yeah, like you said, I mean, the past couple of weeks, obviously the market has generally been trending downward, but the vibes around the industry are still overall positive. And to me, that's been the most fun part by far.
I know. And that's what it's so funny. I think about like the showcase challenge that's happening and how it's all over Twitter. And there's like no other situation or community where that would have been well received. Like where you're seeing all of those tweets out there, you'd be like, come on, guys, like everybody chill out. But here it's just been like, yeah, hell yeah, man. I gave you like 38. Hit me up. And I'm like, this is amazing.
It is. It really is. Yeah. I love it. And yeah, I spend at least twice a day, I just sit down and go through and like a bunch of people's showcases because, I mean, like, why not? And I feel like, yeah, that is a great example. And Twitter just getting flooded with those showcase likes. But hey, we're out here to support each other. So happy to like anyone's showcases. I may regret saying that, but I'm committing to it.
Have you been deep in the theorizing streets in the last couple of days? It was something we were talking about a little bit earlier, but it feels like the speculation is that the market might not be rising right now, but the speculation is rising right now.
The speculation is always rising. We've talked about it a little bit. We did a show last night and talked through, some of the theories that are going around, but I try not to get too deep into that stuff because you could run in circles forever. But I mean, we have seen with some of the past theories that I wouldn't say any of the theories have turned out to be 100% spot on, but it's like bits and pieces of these theories do turn out to be kind of true. But then it's like, is it just coincidence that it seems like it's true? But it definitely makes it fun to have those talking points.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to share. Sawyer, you're getting some OTM love right now. Dave says OTM is my Bible, TJ to the moon. And I'm going to pull up the OTM site, and maybe you can talk a little bit about Sawyer's question too. He's like, where did the idea from the website come from?
Sure.
And I'll pull this up right now. Here we go.
Yeah, so just, starting off, like I said, Justin Herzig and I started off just doing a podcast. Again, when we first got into Top Shot back in January, there was like no information to be found about it, right? There was the Top Shot website, which in all honesty doesn't provide a ton of context other than here's the lowest ask and here's some of the recent transactions, even though they don't have that anymore. And one of the idea kind of started with like, hey, what would we want as collectors, as investors in Top Shots? What are the things that we would want to understand? What's the data that we'd want to be able to look at? And that, I would say, is the origin of the idea, right? Just trying to build something that we ourselves would want and would use and would find valuable. And that was the jumping point. And I would also say we're definitely pretty analytically minded guys. And our original thought process was around building tools for power users. But I would say over the past couple of weeks, we've actually really made the shift of like, it's not about the power users, really. It's about like the transparency of the data. It's about helping people understand circulation counts and the fact that just because it says that somebody that there's 35,000 of them, there may only be 1,000 of them out there. And people can be really misled by that. Because if you're on the Top Shot website, you'd have no idea that, like the Malik Monk situation from a week or two ago, right? He was 2% in circulation and the price went up to $200. But if you're not looking at a third-party tool, you'd have no way of knowing that. And you may just be a Malik Monk fan. You're like, oh, well, this is the going rate, so I'm going to buy it. Little do you know, literally thousands are about to be released in a pack after the fact.
I remember somebody DMing me being like, "Hey, I saw Nasir Little's going for like 220. Is that a good buy?" And I was like, "No, Nasir Little plays like 2.5 minutes a game. Absolutely not."
Yeah.
And the same thing that was, I feel like, right around the same time as the Malik Monk, that 12K drop, where all of a sudden people started, like, I saw OTM was tweeting some stuff out being like, "Hey, you need this information before attacking moments like this in the marketplace." And I think, again, that's just more helpful because it allows people, like newer users, it saves them from getting burned early and then being like, "Oh, I'm not going to do this." Like, well, how, you know? Yeah. And so I think the more information, the more resources, the better in those kind of moments.
Yeah, I think that really is the big thing. Like, you don't want to have that poor experience. I mean, yeah, people could be the most genuine collectors in the world, but the challenge is a perfect example, right? Because I think a lot of people have gotten burned by some of the challenges. I specifically remember the Anthony Davis Cool Cats one.
Oh my
gosh. A ton of
gosh.
new collectors happened to come in at that time. They're like, "Oh, there's a challenge to complete. This is awesome. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be great." And then they get burned, and like, I don't care how genuine of a collector you are. If you're putting in a lot of money and getting a lot less back, it's not a fun experience no matter what. And so we want to provide that transparency of like, well, what have past challenges looked like? Typically, when the challenge ends, we see the price decreases. You can go back to any of the expired challenges, see what that trend looks like. You can see how any of the individual players in the challenge have trended over time. And I feel like the challenges is definitely an area that we've tried to lean into a little bit extra, just because I think that's one of the most fun items on the platform right now.
Yeah, I actually, you know what, TJ, do you want to share your screen? Because I feel like you're a little bit, so that way you can kind of take us through the things a little bit more seamlessly. And I'm with you. The challenge thing was the thing that stood out to me right away, where I was like, oh, this, because doing content, but also not doing intellectual content, I need to rely on other people. So like, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is great. Seeing something like this. And that's been the what's been so like exciting for me is being like, okay, I know I'm coming here for the challenges stuff. And then I was like, oh, wow, you guys list top 5 gainers and top 5 losers. So like seeing the stuff that I wasn't looking for, and then it's just like opening my eyes to different types of information. I was like, oh, this is super helpful.
Sure. Yeah. So here we just have our homepage, our market page right now. Like you just said, we have the top 5 gainers and losers of individual moments from a 24-hour percentage wise. Each of these is clickable that you can then open up the individual player moments. You can do that in a second. You can also see the top 5 sets, gainers and losers, just to get more of that general feel. And then we have a summary of the active challenges. We also put in the coming soons. You've actually made a good point before that the Cool Cats Master is technically kind of an active challenge. It's just not on the Top Shot website, but I think at this point we all know about the Cool Cats Master. Yeah. You can also click down and see any of the expired ones. So we have the data for all of the past challenges as well. And yeah, let's look at the challenges. I feel like that's.
Listen, if you just for my own heart, if you could scrub that Cool Cats 2 challenge, just get it. I think we should all like 1, 2, 3 forget
just
that.
Pretend it never happened. Yeah, let's just erase it from the system.
Yeah,
that was definitely the one that everyone just had a tough time with.
Oh my gosh, I remember too. I think it was the Plunge Father who did a video, but it was like towards the end of the challenge and basically did all the math and was like, hey, it's all about Luka. So like AD's not going to be worth that much. And I remember being like, oh my goodness. Because everybody was like, hey, the Luka's worth 9K. So that AD's going to be at least worth 7K.
Oh, I remember when Luka was worth 9K. Those were the days.
All right. R.I.P.
The glory days. But yeah, so on our challenges page, you can see for each of the challenges, what's the total cost to acquire from a low ask perspective. You can see how many people have completed it thus far. This number updates in real time. You can refresh every minute and get the most up to date. So that definitely, we get a lot of page load on this page on challenge expiration date as people are just refreshing away to see how many people are going to complete. Then we have the countdown. And then just each of the individual players. And we're also put a little buy button so that you're 1 click away. You can go right to Top Shot. If you see a price you like, go ahead, pick your serial, make your purchase, and then we have the completion numbers over time. So not just how many people have completed the challenge, but how many people have 4 or 5, 3 or 5, et cetera, et cetera. I also think that this is a fun thing that we have where, and this is especially relevant for, like, it really showed its colors in the Cool Cats 4, where you could see how high demand the Dwight Howard and the Ibaka were. But it shows for the people that have 4 or 5 or 3 or 5, what is the moment that they need to complete. So it kind of gives you a sense of who is in highest demand. And then you get to see recent transactions within the challenge.
Yeah, that was super helpful for the last time around too. Like when you saw the Jeremy Grant all of a sudden spiking and the Ibaka and the Howard. And yeah, that was super helpful.
Yeah, and then we can just click on anyone. Like we can see the ridiculousness that's been going on with TJ McConnell as soon as he was announced to be in the challenge. We can see the trend over time. He's basically been between $8 and $12 forever, and now he's all of a sudden all the way up to 90. And then, yeah, like we said, circulation count, recent transactions. So each moment has an individual player page like this, so you can dive a little bit deeper into, and I will also say that our kind of philosophy here at OTM is more about the macro view of the data and the macro strategy behind it, right? Like we're not trying to be the website that's saying, hey, there's a deal right now. Go make this purchase right this second. It's more like if you're trying to complete a challenge or if you have moments that you're interested in and you want to, spend a couple of days researching it and tracking it over time and seeing what's going on there, that's more of our focus. And then people can use it for whatever their individual collector strategy is.
Yeah, and I like that too, because it's providing information to allow people to make their own decisions, which I think is cool. Because that's how I feel about it too. Like maybe I circumvent this by just saying that I like every player, which has been pointed out time and time again. But I would much rather just like provide here's a shit ton of information, and then you guys can make your decisions with that. Because I don't want to make decisions for other people being like, oh, this is the moment you need, outside of PJ Washington. But yeah, as Patrick Coyne says, teaching us how to fish.
Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of PJ Washington, I noticed. So we also have this. This is cool. I mean, this is more of a niche page, obviously, but I think it's more. I look at this page more for entertainment than anything. But what it does is it pulls in all the number ones, the jersey numbers, and the last serials that are listed on the marketplace. So you can see all of them that are available. We do like a little bit of a price over lowest ask ratio, so you can see kind of relative to the lowest ask, what is a jersey number or a last mint or a number one serial costing. And then at the bottom, we have the recent transactions. And so what we've seen is that Ding-a-ling just continues to buy up every number one, every jersey number. And I noticed two PJ Washington purchases by Ding-a-ling last night and this morning. So maybe Ding-a-ling is a fan of the stream and you've done your piece in selling that.
Yeah, either that or I'm Ding-a-ling. No.
Love it.
No, I am not. I know you guys have been super open to feedback too, and Sawyer had asked if we have suggestions for data points. What's the best way to reach out to you guys in OTM?
Yep. So the best way is you can join our Discord, or you can get onto the wait list that we have for our Discord. We are operating on a wait list right now. I can throw that into the chat, or maybe I can even kick it over to you, Mike, and you can put it in the show notes or something.
Yep.
But we have a Discord, so that's the number one place where we take feedback. But also, if you're not in that, you can just DM me directly on Twitter. So Twitter handles @TJL5124DFS. You have a better chance of getting a hold of me directly than the Own the Moment account, because we just get a crap ton of DMs there. But yeah, definitely very, very open to any and all suggestions. We're not building this for us, right? We're building this for you guys. We're building this for the community, and we want to make sure that we're prioritizing all the information that you guys are going to find the most valuable.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, again, it goes back to the whole thing of like, if you win, I win. Like we all win at this together.
Exactly. We all benefit from it, and like Top Shot as a whole benefits from new collectors being more informed, right? Because
absolutely,
like all of us that are in this now and that are enjoying this and want this to last long term, we want, as new collectors come in, we want them to have positive experiences. We don't want them to be completing a challenge and losing all their money, but the thing is with the challenges, sometimes people know that now and they still want to complete the challenge. And that's also totally fine. Like that's one of the things that I feel about Top Shot. It doesn't all have to be like a financial decision.
Right.
Like people can view it in different ways. And it's like, you know what? Like maybe if I complete this challenge, I might lose $100 out of it. But like now I have this set and I really like that, and I want to have that in my collection. And maybe a year from now, it's worth more. Maybe it's not, but I at least am aware that I'm making that choice.
Absolutely.
And have the info, right? It's different than I did this. I wasn't expecting this to go down. What the heck? This thing's terrible. Now I don't want to be on the platform.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so cool about the platform in general is that there's no like one way that you're supposed to be attacking this. I think that there's, Greg who does Top Shot Takes was someone who early on wanted to collect the floor because he believed in the platform. So he's like, if I have the floor and the floor goes up, I have a bunch of little things that were $2 that are now worth $8. And we dunked on him a bunch for that because I'm like, dude, you're just scooping up Daniel Tice's. But like that, I like that idea of like that it's not just because I'm like screaming series 1 in first moment. And that's not, I mean, sure, that's how I believe in it, but that doesn't mean it's the only way to win, I guess is how you would say it. And then the other thought like a lot around that is that it's fun as we get more information and seeing how like the market plays out, that what you thought 2 months ago or a month ago might not necessarily be what you think now, right? Because with the evolution of the platform and the marketplace, you're just it's okay to shift your thought process.
Oh yeah, and I mean everything has been changing so quickly and is going to continue to change quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We have the idea of the hard court game on the horizon, which we actually put out a tweet last night because we saw for the first time this coming soon hard court, but apparently that was like at least a month old. But hey, you know what? It showed that the people want to see it, and like, who the heck logs out of Top Shot? Like, I don't log out of Top Shot. I didn't know that had to be forever, but I thought that was pretty funny.
I saw that too, where they're like,
maybe reported some slight misinformation there, but it does not change the fact that people are clearly excited about and want the video game, and I really think that that's going to be an interesting game changer as we move forward.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, even with Swish, which I was like super late to, but now it seems like more and more people are talking about it or are into it, and it's like showing utility with some of these moments. And I think the more different or the more opportunities that come up where you're using your moments for different things like hardcore or whatever, I think that's just more exposure. There's more exposure and more excitement around the platform, which is exciting. Speaking of taking L's though, TJ, I wanted to ask, like, what is, we talked about Cool Cats too. Has there been a moment where like you were like, oh man, I was just like way wrong on this?
Oh, there definitely has been. I'm trying to think of the one that for me always sticks out is not necessarily that I was wrong, but early on, kind of what you were just talking about with the buy the floor strategy. I bought a ton of Jimmy Butler 15,000s, and I was probably buying them at like, I don't know, $12 to $15, which was great. And like that was then, I think I bought like 50 of them. And then I held them through the euphoria phase where he literally got up to like 120 at one point. And like, of course, didn't sell any of them. And then I've just like watched that constantly slide back down from there. But I can actually, you know what? We can look directly at my account and see.
Here we go.
Exactly where I've taken a big L. Actually, it's going to be on the Luka Cool Cat, but that's because I had bought one originally, sold it, bought again at like 7K. So like I didn't like I got my original Luka from the pack. Yeah. So I got my original. So I don't really consider this my biggest loss because I had a Luka, sold one, bought one back at like the peak, and then it came down. But some Embiids that I was buying up at 1,800. Now it's down to 550.
Wow, that's even gone down to 550. Wow.
This one, I did so this was actually what my Luka strategy at one point. It's related to the Cool Cats. Mm-hmm. It was back in the phase where it just seemed like all the cheaper moments were really on the rise, and it was like a opportunity cost question. And so I sold my Luka Cool Cat and was like, I'm still bullish on Luka, but instead I'm going to buy up, a number of base set Lukas, and then that didn't quite work out. But hey, we live and learn, right?
I know, we really do. And I mean, and I still do. It's funny because it might be like a short-term L, but we don't know what it looks like a year from now. And that was the thing. And I couldn't tell if I was saying this because I believed it or if I was saying it because it made me feel better. But I didn't get into it thinking I was going to sell these things in April or May anyways, right? Like that wasn't my thought process that I was going to move off of these. I was like, oh no, if I believe kept screaming Team Holt. So if I believe in this, I wasn't planning on selling it in 2 months. So seeing it go down hurts my brain. But I wasn't planning on, if it was going up, I don't think I was getting off of them either. So I get it. But I think you just hope long term.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like I've gotten to the point where I'm not even checking my account valuation daily anymore. I'm just I'm comfortable with where I'm at. I know what I have invested, and let the chips fall where they may at this point. I'm not rushing to withdraw any money. I'm also not really currently rushing to deposit any money, which I think is maybe an issue in itself. But I think that we're starting to see, I think, a little bit of the bottom come in here. Things are consolidating a bit. It's getting to the point where the packs aren't crazy
expected
value, where you're taking a $9 pack and turn it into an automatic $100. Like,
I know,
and that's good. And I think that also I'm going to be doing a solo podcast on Fridays from now on, just like a 20 to 30 minute recap. And
awesome.
One of the things that I talked about last week was really just the idea that I feel like participating in Top Shot just makes you a little bit smarter in how you think about things, right? Like early on, I feel like it was a pack drop and people are just like devastated when they don't get one. Like, oh my God, this is terrible. And now it's like, well, you know what? If you're showing up to a pack drop and there's 15,000 packs available and there's or 60,000 people in line, like you have a 25% chance of getting a pack. And so guess what? Most of the time you're actually not going to get one. And I feel like, just going through that like helps you understand kind of probabilistic thinking and all that. Getting a little overly analytical here, but I really do think that it just like helps you with how your brain handles different outcomes, and then you're super grateful when you do get a pack now.
Well, and I think you're right, because I also think it hurt more when you didn't get it, because you were like, oh, this $9 was an instant 120, right? Yep. Where it's like this $9 is $12, which is still a win, right? It's still a W, it's still worth getting, but it's not the same like gut punch. And the same thing with the MGLE pack drop that happened, which again, still there was still a W if you got it, but that one I was kind of like, okay, like I didn't get it, and that's fine. That's fine. Right. If I like some of these moments, maybe I'll go scoop in and grab it. But
right.
But yeah, you're right. I think it's adjusting the mindset a little bit of everyone in there is important, because we were just like full tilt for a month in there when pack drops were happening.
Oh yeah. I saw someone in the chat mention this. I do not have the slide itself because Justin had it, but I do have this. I thought this would be interesting to bring up, because I know that you talk a lot about the badges as well. But it was
Justin's going to be pumped with the screen grab he got here.
Oh my God. Got the eyes closed. There we go. Sorry, Justin. But what we had here was, so the concept we were talking about is that like early on, maybe the badges seem like commonplace, right? But as we grow over time, especially the debut badges, they're going to become fewer and fewer and fewer, right? Mm-hmm. Because most of the players already have their Top Shot debut badge out there, and there's going to be no more added. And so for the most part, going forward, it's largely just going to be rookies and anyone that's, getting their first badge, in which case it's probably, no offense, a little bit of a lesser player at this point, right? Like all the big name players have their Top Shot debut badge. So it was just, I think aligns to what you talk about, that we still all believe that these debut badges, when you're looking at more of like a 2 to 5 year window, are still pretty drastically undervalued and kind of taken for granted.
And one of the things that I've been talking about too much, maybe, are players like young stars, and Patrick Corain should get credit for this because he was the first one to say it to me, but young stars who won't have rookie moments because they most likely won't do like a 2018 run it back. That feels a little unlikely, like the year before it started. But so guys like Tatum and De'Aaron Fox and Trae Young, who don't have rookie moments, so their first moment almost acts as it. And all of those, especially Trae Young, who, I got mixed feelings about Trae Young. He's an NBA player too, but though I find like those first moments are almost worth a little bit more and are being super undervalued. But I think you're right. I think there was so much conversation around the badges leading up to it. And this has happened a couple of times with different things too. Like I think there's like around all-star games and around the MVP where we almost like baked the value in already. And there was so much conversation around badges for like 3 months that we were always like, oh, once those badges come out, those prices are going to the moon. But we like slowly priced them up. And then when it came out and it didn't happen, everybody was just kind of like, oh, badges are stupid. Like, why would I need a moment with 4 badges? But you're right. Like it's only going to be rookies, or rookies are like guys who come over from Europe at age 32. Although I guess that's still technically a rookie, but it's really only going to be rookies moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny you said that. I feel like there were 3 or 4 distinct moments where it was like, oh, the badges are priced in. The badges are priced in.
Yeah.
And one of them, like there was the first time that Top Shot made whatever blog post they made about the upcoming badges, and we saw a big pump there. And then I remember one of the biggest pumps was that a couple weeks after that, they literally, all they did was repost the same blog post that was already out there. But there were so many more users, then it just like shot up to the top. It's like us tweeting last night that hardcourt is coming soon, even though it's been coming soon for 2 months. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to surface old news and make people think that it's new stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, completely agree, and going to be something interesting. And like when I, pretty much I feel like when I'm buying in the marketplace, it's either challenge related right now, or it's trying to scoop up players with badges and preferably the S1s. And just like, I mean, you can even see it now when you open a base pack, right? Like the second I see a badge, it's like, oh, like I'm like pumped because you want those badges, and it just, the experience of opening a pack and getting something with a badge, like definitely feels good.
Yeah, it does. And I know that, I think that was yesterday where I got a pack and I pulled an Okoro with 2 badges. And I'm not like super thrilled about 35K moments, but I was like, if I'm going to get it, like, all right, cool. I got 2 badges out of this one. Like that counts for something. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do think long-term, we got to get away from that talk. Like the further away we get from the badge debut or from the badges coming out, I think you're right. The more important it's going to be to become. But I really do think it's hard to have like that macro lens sometimes. I think because we're so in it, and a week feels like a year in this platform. So
it really does. It's felt like that way from the start. I mean, I sometimes I think like, I can't believe it's only been, right around 3 months since when did you get into Top Shot?
I was right with you. I wasn't subscribed to the Bales stuff at the time. Surprisingly, somehow that missed my wheelhouse. But I think Pete Overzet had Peter Jennings on one of his Friday shows during football season, and I was watching that live. It was like Friday at noon, and Pete, that's like one of my favorite shows, by the way. If you're a football DFS person, that Friday show where he's just kind of like, he just always has really smart people on talking about stuff. But they were talking about it, and I was like, oh man, I love basketball more than anything. And this is like all of my Venn diagram of stuff was just like perfect. So I scooped maybe like 12 packs during that show. I just kept buying $9 packs. So that was right around the same time though.
The glory days when I can't believe the first like pack drop that I kind of participated in. It was a base pack, and this was back when you could buy more than one. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I could have bought like 20 or even more. And I was like, I'm just going to buy one and see how it goes. And now I'm like, oh, you idiot.
I know. I did the same thing where I think I bought 1, and then I bought like 3, and then I bought 5, and then there was like a day pass, and I was like, all right, I really need to chill out. And I bought 10. I just went crazy with it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we're hopefully moving back towards that direction, right? I mean, in the last week, we've had a 100K packs release and then 50K packs release yesterday. So yeah, again, I think we're getting more towards that stable environment where I know that they've always said the long-term goal is that packs are just available on the website at any time. Yeah. I think it'll still be time until we get there. But for the most part, I think, they're going to be continuing to pump out more and more of those packs. And like, while on one hand, increasing the supply generally is supposed to has a negative impact on the price. I think that adding more and more supply of the 35K moments will actually make the 15Ks, the 12Ks, etc. look a lot more scarce. And then especially once we get to 50K, 100K circulating counts, like it's just going to continue to squeeze up the S1 and S2 moments with lesser counts.
Yeah, and I know like currently it's hard to feel that way because you're seeing the Series 1s in general, and then the Series 2 15K and 7500 just like take a bath, like just getting absolutely smoked right now. But I do think like long term it's just going to make it seem more and more rare, and as it becomes harder and harder to get rare and legendary moments, as we're seeing, right? Like there's still, it's going to be easier to get base packs, but I do think those legendary drops are just going to continue to be harder and harder to get, right? If there's only like 27 to 3K packs being dropped, I mean, there's always going to be at least like 70K in line for that, unless the restrictions get tighter and tighter, which I don't see them getting too tight. But with that,
it actually came out. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say that they said in their office hours last week that their target, that they're going to continue to adjust or tweak the requirements for rare and legendaries, and that their goal is to target that 25 to 30% of collectors are eligible for rare and legendary. So one of the things that we've been saying to our followers is to kind of make sure you're trying to stay a step ahead of those requirements, right? So if you just met the minimum for the last pack drop requirements, don't assume that that's going to be good enough for the next one, right? Totally. Like it's been 15 plus moment minimum. That might go up to 20. Again, I don't know this, but I do think that it's going to continue to evolve. So just set expectations with yourself and try to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of this too, but a lot of the chat in our Discord and even during the streams is when talking about Cool Cats 5, it's like, I just needed to, Glenn, right on cue, complete a challenge. Like I think a lot of people are speculating that is going to be one of the requirements, which like it's hard. It's hard to be like, you got to go complete a challenge because we think that's going to be it. Like, I don't feel comfortable saying that, but if you haven't completed one and at some point you'd like to, and this one's only 5 moments, now's probably the time to do it.
Yep. That makes sense.
One more thing for you, and then I can let you go. And we talked about it a little bit, but how have you personally, like outside of OTM, how have you personally been attacking the marketplace right now? Have you been more of a wait and see approach we're still like waiting to see the bottom? Have there been, I know you mentioned the challenges, if you're trying to complete those, you're scooping those, but is there anything that you've been, and you don't have to say specific moments, but just kind of like how you've been interacting with it? Yeah,
I would say in general, I'm in a bit of a wait and see phase and have been for the past, 2-3 weeks. I definitely, the challenges is a lot of where I focus my time, not just from completing the challenges, but I think it's fun to follow. That's also always going to be where the most volatility is, right? Mm-hmm. Which typically means there's going to be some sort of opportunity there. So it's like you could buy up some of we try to identify the moments in the challenges that are going to become the bottleneck, right? So when you have 3 moments that are 35Ks and only 2 that are the 15Ks, the 15Ks are likely to become the bottleneck, which is what we saw with the Dwight Howard and the Ibaka. So you can kind of participate in the challenges without actually trying to complete it, right? Buy 1 or 2 moments and then, try to sell it a couple days later. And worst case scenario, you've learned something, right? And you've kind of experienced what the challenge market looks like. So that's one recommendation I would make. And then, like I said, I haven't been actively necessarily buying. I definitely have not been selling. But I'm still on every day, like monitoring different moments, trying to identify, when I think that bottom is in, and then my strategy is going to be to make some consolidation plays and just load up on the Top Shot debut badges that I don't already have.
Yeah, I think that's where one of the things I've been struggling with quite a bit, and I've talked about this, but like I'm having a tough time moving off because I'm with you with the consolidation thing. I want to get rid of some things to build up a dapper to attack some things that I'm like really excited about, but I'm having a tough time moving off of anything right now.
That's what I can't do either. I don't want to sell anything. So I've just been kind of waiting and seeing.
Yeah. And I also don't want to sell because I feel like I'm selling at the bottom, but then every time I bring that up, someone's like, yeah, but you're also buying at the bottom. So like, it's still kind of leveled out, but I'm having a tough time. I've listed and delisted Marcus Smart Hollow maybe 10 times in the past month. And someone will be like, you actually need a legendary moment for the next rare drop. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sell it.
Yeah.
So it's good.
I was gonna say, it's actually an interesting kind of psychological thing because I've heard it a lot of like, I don't want to sell at a loss. Right. And I even find, I'll give people advice on not thinking like that way, but then I find myself thinking that way too. But yeah, it really is, like a sunk cost kind of thing. Like, well, if you're selling something at a loss, that's fine as long as you have a plan for what you want to do with it afterwards. And then, it's all about forward looking. But definitely, hear that a lot from people around
Yeah.
Top Shot, but then I also find myself falling into that same mental trap, even though I know it's not supposed to be a thing. It's just human nature, I feel like.
I know. And I keep trying to like, and not that this is a strategy that anyone else should enforce, but I keep trying to like let my poker brain turn on and be like, this is a tournament, and all of that money that was mine is no longer mine, and like it's gone. So whether I'm selling at a loss, it doesn't matter, because it's just chips. All of this is chips, and we're trying to accumulate as much as we can. But that's way easier to say than do when you're seeing your account valuation being like, how the hell is that Marcus down to 1,600?
Yeah. You can drive yourself nuts looking at that stuff.
Yeah.
But
All right. I'll actually fire out one more question, then we'll end with this, because Sawyer, shout out Sawyer in our Discord, who's been doing some pretty sharp content for us as well. I shouldn't say for us. We haven't officially said that. You're doing the content for yourself, Sawyer. But like, do you have any speculation turning on your tinfoil cap when you think we'll begin to see it leveling off?
I think we're getting close. I think we're getting close. I think, my hope is that come playoffs, I think playoffs is going to be a big moment. I think that we have the potential that between now and playoffs that we see kind of a leveling off, with the hope that there's going to be some sort of marketing push or some sort of influx of new users come around playoff time. But what I worry about is that we're going to see All-Star Weekend 2.0, where, yes, we get all of these new users come playoff times, but then all of a sudden we have, 3 new sets that get dropped, and then that basically negates the whole thing. So I definitely expect there to be at least 1 or 2 playoff sets, but I hope that it doesn't get oversaturated. So basically what I guess I'm trying to say is that as long as not too many new moments are pumped into the system, I think that come playoff times, we'll start to see a rise up. But my qualifier would be that, if we have All-Star, because All-Star Weekend, that's basically what happened, but there was like 3 big pack drops in 3 days, and then you didn't need to buy anything on the marketplace because you're like, I'm just going to wait for packs.
I would love a 30 for 30 on that weekend. They're scaling at an incredible rate. And so like, I can't fault them. Any decision that it made, I'm sure was just like a wild time to be in that room. But I would love to know if the original plan was seeing stars and all-star pack, or if that was like, oh, we got a huge new group of users, we need to fire out some more stuff. Would love to know like what was. I can't imagine them being so reactionary that they just like scoop together a pack in short term like that. But I mean, part of me was just like, this couldn't have been what they wanted.
Definitely, it had to have had unintended consequences. It was just
especially with the
so
marketplace being down.
Time.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna. So at least, I mean, that's one great thing, right? That's one thing that I'm very confident at this point. I mean, the tech has been super smooth, so much so that no one even talks about it anymore. And that's what good tech is, right? Good tech, you don't even know it's there. You don't even know what's happening. You just know that you get in line for a pack, and you can, have it sent to your email if you want to now transition to your phone,
right?
And
they've seen the
rebound pack like I did, but that's a different story.
Yeah, they've seemed to iron out like the Q drops, the drops for the most part, and also just like the cooldowns during the marketplace have seemed to be effective. And I know an issue they had earlier was like if you attempted to buy something but it didn't go through, you still were put in timeout for an hour, and they've seemed to work around that too. So the tech. You're right. Like if there's a problem, we hear about it. And if there's not a problem, no one gets any love for it. So that, they've done a much better job like scaling up in that department. But man, thank you so much for coming on, dude. This is way better when we have a guest, because then it's just not me talking for an hour. I think everyone appreciates it more.
This is great.
Fire off some plugs though. I know you guys are doing so much content. I know you shared the last week, I think there it is. Beautiful.
I got the plugs ready to go. So first off, you can follow us on Twitter at OwnTheMomentNFT. You can also follow me personally at TJL5124DFS. You can find our YouTube channel, Own the Moment, all that good stuff, podcast as well. And last week we started to come out with a a weekly schedule now. So Monday nights, Wednesday nights, 8:30 Eastern, we're doing live shows. Monday, we do a weekly kind of tip-off show where we bring on a guest around the industry. Mike would definitely love to have you on that show at some point. That's something you and I will be talking about afterwards. So we will definitely have you on there, hopefully very soon. And then Wednesday, we do more of like a strategy show where we'll dive into the challenges or any of the analysis that we have going on. Justin is always cooking up some awesome numbers games that he has. We'll sometimes bring on a guest there as well. And then Friday, for people that don't want to sit through 2 hour and a half shows, I just do like a 20 to 30 quick recap of the week, make sure people have the most important info, summarize what we talked about in the shows for people that maybe didn't get to see them, just talk about some of my individual thoughts. And then we have some written content that is right now just in our Discord, but we're working to integrate this with the website as well. We do like an NBA weekly recap where our NBA analyst Bach just talks through key news in the NBA from the past week and then kind of relates it to Top Shot and how it's affected Top Shot prices. And then we have OTM player rankings, we call them, which is really just, kind of for people that are maybe interested in Top Shot but don't know a ton about the NBA, just like super high level, like where do people rank in terms of like actual player in their career? Yeah. And then we do Ask Me Anythings in the Discord. So we're trying to do as much as we can. And the support has been amazing so far from the community. So hopefully some of you guys will check us out.
Yeah, definitely check out On the Moment. And you guys should also get credit for being able to schedule things ahead of time on a weekly basis. So there's not enough credit can go to maintaining a schedule when you're working with more than one person, because it's very difficult to sync schedules. So shout out to you guys for being able to do this.
I was about to say, says the guy who is on a weekly or a daily schedule every day, but I guess you're saying it's just you, so it makes it easier.
We've been trying so hard on East Coast and West Coast, being like, oh, maybe we just do one night a week, and it's impossible. So anytime I schedule something that conflicts with somebody else, I have sincerest apologies. But yeah, check out On the Moment. Obviously, if you tune into the Morning Marketplace, we use it for everything, and it's really sharp stuff, and they're a great follow on Twitter too, so make sure you're following both TJ and On the Moment. And TJ, I think it's important. Like, this is your first appearance on the Morning Marketplace, and I just need you to see this video as we go out. So thanks for tuning into the Morning Marketplace. Smash the like, do all this stuff, and let's get out of here.
PJ Washington.